The fires of Nova Thulium still burn, but not all scars are made by flame. Marneus Calgar, the name that commands worlds, once belonged to a boy who bled beneath the earth. The war for Nova Thulium rages on, yet the past refuses to stay buried. As the Ultramarines bring vengeance to the heretics of Khorne, Calgar remembers the first time he faced true darkness, when faith, blood, and sacrifice forged the man he would become. Because even now, surrounded by the might of the Imperium, he knows the truth that began in those tunnels long ago. In the grim darkness of the far future, the dead never truly rest. They live on, through duty, through memory, and through war. The fires of Nova Thulium still burn, but not all scars are made by flame. Marneus Calgar, the name that commands worlds, once belonged to a boy who bled beneath the earth. The war for Nova Thulium rages on, yet the past refuses to stay buried. As the Ultramarines bring vengeance to the heretics of Khorne, Calgar remembers the first time he faced true darkness, when faith, blood, and sacrifice forged the man he would become. Because even now, surrounded by the might of the Imperium, he knows the truth that began in those tunnels long ago. In the grim darkness of the far future, the dead never truly rest. They live on, through duty, through memory, and through war. The heretics thought they could hold the Calgar estates. But walls mean nothing to the sons of Guilliman. From the smoke and ruin, the Vindicta tears through stone and steel, a chariot of vengeance in the hands of a god-made man. And upon its hull stands Marneus Calgar himself, unyielding, unbroken, a symbol of imperial wrath made flesh. With a single command, the air trembles. Bolter fire answers, "Slay the heretics!" In that moment, the sons of Ultramar remind the galaxy, mercy is weakness, and the Emperor's justice always finds its mark. The air shakes with thunder and flame. From the burning ruins of the Calgar estates, the Lord of Ultramar descends like a god of war. As the heretics roar their blasphemies to Khorne, their cries are drowned beneath the roar of Vindicta's cannons, the Emperor's judgment made manifest. Calgar stands upon steel and fire, every strike of his gauntlets a sermon in blood and fury. To the traitors, he is no man, he is vengeance given form. And as the skies burn above Nova Thulium, one truth resounds louder than the war cries of madmen. In the name of the Emperor, there is no mercy for the heretic, only retribution.
As the fires of Nova Thulium burn, my thoughts return to another time. Before the armor, before the wars, before the name Marneus Calgar meant anything at all. I remember the trial, the first test of strength and survival. Thulium Minor. We were just boys then, dreaming of glory, not yet understanding what it would cost. That was where I learned the first lesson of war. Not all who aspire to be heroes will live long enough to become them. They said the trials would test our courage. They didn't tell us they'd test our humanity. 280 aspirants stood where I once did, on Thulium Minor, beneath a sky that had seen too many sons sent to die. Each of us carried a blade, a prayer, and a lie we told ourselves to keep standing. The instructors spoke of selection, of duty, of worth. But out there, against beasts that no human should face, it was never about worth. It was about will. And in that moment, I learned the first truth of being an Ultramarine. You don't earn survival. You take it. The trials were never meant to test strength alone. They were meant to break us, to strip away mercy, weakness, and doubt until only devotion remained. Each dawn brought fewer faces, fewer voices. The ground itself became a graveyard of those who faltered. We learned to fight without hope of reward, to endure without promise of survival, because only those who understood suffering could ever serve the Emperor. By the third night, we no longer feared death. We had already died, and what remained was something far colder. By the end of the first week, most were gone, swallowed by hunger, exhaustion, or despair. The second week claimed those too proud to learn, too slow to adapt. Each trial stripped us bare, body, spirit, and soul. The weak perished beneath the stones, the foolish beneath their own pride. But I endured, not because I was the strongest, but because I refused to die. By the time the last dawn broke, I no longer remembered my name, only my purpose. I had survived Thulium Minor. The trials had stripped away the boy I was and forged what remained into something harder, something ready for war.
The past forged him, but the present demands the blade once more. Within the Calgar estates, the echoes of war return, not in memory, but in fire and blood. The Ultramarines advance through the ruins, disciplined, unyielding, silent, but for the roar of bolters. Every fallen heretic, every shattered icon is a reminder. This world once raised him, and now dares to defy him. Calgar leads from the front, not as a relic of the past, but as the Emperor's retribution made flesh. The traitors have taken his home, and he intends to take it back, piece by piece, until nothing remains but silence and duty fulfilled. The air trembled with a sound older than sanity, a scream of metal and flesh intertwined. From the ruins lumbered a hellbrute, once a proud Astartes, now a cage of twisted iron and tormented rage. The traitor's corpse still wore the mockery of honor, the remains of a warrior who had traded duty for damnation. I had seen such things before, heroes who couldn't bear to die, so chaos made sure they never could. But there is no redemption for the damned, only silence, delivered by bolter and flame. And on this day, I would be that silence. The hellbrute staggered, its engine shrieking as demonic ichor spilled across the stone. But even impaled, it would not fall. Pain only made it stronger, rage given metal form. Each blow it traded was a memory of the warrior it once was, buried beneath layers of corruption. Now there was nothing left to save, only something to destroy. Calgar pressed forward, relentless, unyielding, his every strike fueled by the fury of duty. Sparks lit the night like dying stars, as faith and fury collided in a storm of fire and steel. There are no victors in battles like these, only survivors. The hellbrute's rage ended not in fire but in silence. Smoke and blood hung thick in the air, the aftermath of a god's failure and a man's resolve. Calgar stood over the wreckage, not in triumph, but reflection. For every corrupted machine like this one, once there had been a brother. In this war, victory is never clean. It's just survival with a heartbeat. But war waits for no morning. Even as the demonic fires dimmed, shadows gathered at the edge of the light, a new blasphemy rising to meet him. And from within the inferno, something stirred. Something that had been waiting for him all along. The fires of battle fade, replaced by something colder, quieter, and far more invasive. What comes next is not war, but transformation. From the blood and ashes of combat, the scene shifts to sterile light and steel. The boy who once bled in the dark caves of Thulium now lies beneath the surgeon's knives of the Adeptus Mechanicus. No longer a child, not yet a space marine. Each incision, each implant strips away what little humanity remains. A second heart, reinforced bones, a metabolism remade for war. Every change brings him closer to perfection, and further from the boy who survived. This is the true crucible of the Adeptus Astartes. Not the battlefield, but the table, where flesh becomes weapon and fear is burned out of the soul. In this place, pain is not punishment. It is the price of becoming something more. The transformation of a space marine is not just physical. It's the slow erasure of everything human. Each surgery, each implant, pushes the neophyte further from the person he once was, closer to something engineered. Nerves rewired for obedience, reflexes sharpened to kill, even thought itself stripped and reforged by hypnotherapy until only purpose remains. They call it enhancement, but it is deconstruction, the dismantling of the self in service of the Emperor's design. Every scar, every scarified nerve becomes a scripture in flesh, proof that pain is the true language of devotion. And when the process is done, the boy no longer dreams. He remembers not who he was, but what he was made to be. A weapon, a son of Ultramar, and for the first time, something dangerously close to immortal. Every cut, every graft, every implant brings the transformation closer to completion, but also closer to something unknowable. What began as survival is now ascension by design. The flesh is no longer flesh, it's engineered devotion. The pain that once defined them becomes background noise, replaced by clarity. Cold, absolute, and eternal. By now, the neophyte no longer breathes as a man does. His blood hums with machine precision, his mind sharpened into an unyielding weapon of logic and faith. The weak heart of humanity is gone, replaced by the iron certainty of the Adeptus Astartes. This is where mortality ends, and duty begins. For when the transformation is complete, there is no going back, only forward, into war everlasting. The transformation nears its end, the line between man and godhood blurring into something unrecognizable. What began as flesh is now a cathedral of engineered devotion. Veins hum with synthetic purpose, bones ring like tempered steel. Every cell carries the Emperor's design, sculpted through agony, reforged in faith. By this stage, there's no question of choice. The neophyte has long surrendered that. His name, his fears, his humanity, all consumed by the process. What remains is a vessel, honed for duty, bound by oaths older than memory. And as the final organs are grafted and the black carapace fused to his skin, the transformation is sealed. He is no longer a man. He is a weapon of the Imperium, a fragment of divinity wrapped in ceramite and war. For the Adeptus Astartes are not born, they are built. And once built, they never stop killing. From the cold steel of transformation to the heart of Ultramar. Macragge, a world carved from order and devotion, the beating heart of the Imperium's might in the eastern fringe. Here, discipline is not taught, it's inherited. It seeps from the stone, from every fortress and every hymn. For those who survive the trials, this is the final pilgrimage, a place where faith becomes structure, and structure becomes eternity. But within these marble halls and fortress spires, the trials do not end. Because among the sons of Ultramar, perfection is not an achievement, it's a demand. And somewhere in these hallowed grounds, the boy who endured the knives of Thulium now walks as something else entirely. Not a survivor, a space marine in the making. One step closer to becoming the symbol that the Imperium will one day kneel before. A new figure emerges from the marble shadows of Macragge. Her presence sharp, deliberate, and commanding. She speaks,
"You will prove your worth today, or not at all."
Her voice cuts like a blade, calm but carrying the weight of judgment. Dark hair frames her face, and a single augmetic eye glows faintly beneath a silver implant, tracking every movement with machine precision. There's power in her stance, not just authority, but conviction. She is no simple instructor. The symbols across her robes mark her as someone of higher rank, someone who decides who is worthy to rise, and who is left behind. And as her gaze meets his, it's clear, this is no mentor's welcome. It's a test, one that will measure more than strength. It will measure the soul. Her tone hardens, no longer observation, but interrogation. Each word carries the weight of Ultramar's discipline and the scrutiny of someone who has seen countless aspirants rise and fall.
"You think endurance makes you worthy?"
She says, her augmetic eye flickering with faint light as it scans every twitch of his face.
"Endurance is the foundation of service, not proof of it."
The air between them feels charged, her mechanical implant humming faintly, the faint scent of ozone cutting through the sanctified air of the chamber. The augmetic eye isn't mere enhancement, it's a symbol of her devotion, a sacrifice of flesh for clarity, both physical and moral. She speaks again, quieter but sharper than before.
I see potential in you, Calgar. But potential means nothing until it is tested. Everything on Macragge is earned, never given.
Behind her words lies something deeper, not just challenge, but expectation. A recognition that the boy before her might one day stand among legends. But first, he must prove it. For in the world of the Ultramarines, there is no destiny, only duty. The void slips away. The cold of space gives way to the heat of Nova Thulium's skies. A vessel looms, its silhouette etched against the burning horizon, engines humming with ominous purpose. This is no mere transport. It bears the sigils of the Adeptus Mechanicus, the red cog, the skull, the symbols of the machine-worshipping priests who claim dominion over every gear and circuit in the Imperium. Inside, the air crackles with static and authority. The Adeptus Mechanicus emissary aboard speaks.
We detected anomalous arc signatures within the estate's lattice. Our scans flagged massive structural flux. Proceed with caution. The machine spirits themselves whisper of corruption.
His words echo through the corridors of power. The Mechanicus do not commit resources lightly. Their presence here means something greater than war, scrutiny, judgment, secrets. And as the ship's shadow falls across the Calgar estates, the battle lines are redrawn, not just between heresy and the Emperor's justice, but between steel, faith, and computation. The next strike will not only test blades, but wills. The skies of Thulium Minor erupt in fire. What was once the precision descent of an Imperial dropship now spirals into chaos, a burning arc of metal and faith torn apart by enemy fire. Its hull, marked with the aquila and the sigil of the Adeptus Mechanicus, breaks through the clouds before slamming into the frozen wasteland below. Flames roar, metal screams, then silence, the kind that only follows death. From the wreckage, giants emerge, the Ultramarines, unbroken, unbowed. Each footstep sends tremors through the snow as they drag themselves from the ruin of what was meant to be a surgical insertion, now a battlefield baptism. Through the blizzard stride Calgar and Adept Heximar, the crimson-robed envoy of the Mechanicus. His vox emitters hiss with static as he mutters half prayers, half diagnostics, his augmetic fingers twitching in irritation at the damage to his sacred machine.
The data streams are dead.
Heximar rasps.
The machine spirits weep. This world's signals bleed with heresy.
His words hang heavy in the cold air. Where others see only wreckage, he sees blasphemy in metal. Calgar says nothing. His armor, cracked but unyielding, gleams against the frost. Around them, his surviving brothers regroup, battle-scarred but defiant.
Silence your lamentations, Adept.
Calgar growls.
We stand. That is enough.
Before them, the Calgar estates loom in the distance, once a bastion of Ultramarine legacy, now a fortress shrouded in smoke and heretical flame. And as the blizzard howls over the dead, the message is clear. The Emperor's justice has come to Nova Thulium once more, and it walks on two armored feet. As the storm howls across Thulium Minor, the snow itself seems to recoil, trembling beneath the march of something profane. From the blizzard emerges a figure of nightmare, a warlord clad in corrupted armor, his flesh and metal fused by the touch of Khorne. His voice cuts through the wind like a blade.
Marneus Calgar. Come then, champion of your corpse god. Come and witness true devotion.
Behind him, the heretic ranks stretch across the tundra. Chaos Space Marines of the World Eaters, their armor caked in centuries of blood. Each step they take leaves steam rising from the ice, as if the ground itself rejects them. Their leader wields a weapon that burns with warp energy, a chain axe that shrieks as though alive, hungering for Imperial blood. His body is a testament to torment, muscle grafted with demonic sinew, veins pulsing with dark power. This is no mere cultist. This is a Lord of Khorne, a champion born from slaughter and sustained by it. And as he raises his weapon toward Calgar, his words are both challenge and prophecy.
You've come to reclaim your legacy, Ultramarine. But all legacies end in blood.
Calgar's gaze does not waver. Snow gathers on his armor as the wind screams between them. Two relics of war, two extremes of faith. In the silence before the storm, Calgar's voice rumbles like thunder.
Then let it be written in yours.
The field trembles, bolters are raised, engines roar. The final reckoning begins.